Hello and welcome back to the More Than Mindset Show. I am your host, Kim Guillory, and my guest today is Monique, and we are talking about six-figure coaches. I'm running a series where I'm going to interview some of my clients who have gotten to six figures and beyond, so multiple six figures, and we're going to talk about what it takes to get there and to maintain it. Monique has been multiple six figures for multiple years, and so I thought she would be the first one I would bring on. And we're going to take a deep dive into like what it really takes, what is really required compared to what the market and social media and the gurus are telling you, and what is the actuality. So sit tight. I got a good one for you today. Welcome, Monique.
Hey, Kim.
All right, let's dive in. I want to talk about your journey. We've talked about this in previous episodes, but for this particular one, I really want to talk about your expectations, like what you thought it was going to be like, and then what you thought would happen once you got there. So let's go all the way back to when you first started working with me. You were around 45,000 a year. Is that right?
Yeah,
Is it
correct.
okay? And you were working at a spa, you've done some stuff at home, you were doing massage, you've done a handful of things. You are multi-licensed. And I remember when you were moving to Colorado, and that's where we really started working together about, okay, how do you get to six figures with all of your licenses so that you can afford to stay in Colorado? Am I right? Still telling
Yes.
the story? And you had a menu with a bunch of items on it. We cleaned that menu and you went all in on mind body coaching. So we're talking about coaches, massage therapists and coaches who are making six figures and beyond. So tell me what was the reason behind wanting it? Like, why did you hire a coach to start off with?
Oh man, it was so long ago. But I was not in a good place personally. We had just moved to Colorado and I had these big dreams of coming here and left all the drama in Louisiana. The kids were in Louisiana, the family was in Louisiana, the pain, all the things that I experienced were from that space. And I thought when I left, I was going to leave it all there. And I got here and I went into a salon and spa and started, using all my licenses like I had prepared to do. And I realized I was creating the same patterns. I realized that I was starting to drink a lot again. I realized that I was starting to have discomfort in my body again. And my relationship was falling apart. I wasn't making the money that I thought. I thought I was going to come here and make a ton of money as a massage therapist. It was just like Colorado is the place to go if you're a massage therapist. You're going to crush it there. And I got here and I actually shared with you a couple days ago a post where I was still offering 25 and $30 items and repeating those same patterns again.
Hmm.
So
So
I didn't
basically, it was
screw
on a
all that. I didn't
yeah.
want
So
to screw.
you would say you saw it on a personal level. You saw you repeating the same thing. So tell me what you thought getting to six figures was going to do. Because the most you had made was 45,000. You thought you were moving to Colorado. You're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. You got
Yeah,
there, but you brought the Louisiana prices with you and the Louisiana problems. Did I
yes,
hear that correctly?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So tell me the vision in your head. What did you think making six figures was going to look like?
Oh, I thought, I'd have all this money and I would just be able to do whatever I wanted and it would solve all the problems. I thought that, it's a no-brainer. If I can hit six figures, then it's easy. I'll just coast along.
So what are the things that you thought you would do that you weren't doing at that time? Like, so if you have $100,000 compared to having $45,000, how is your life going to look different?
Yeah, yeah. I just thought, I would have no debt. I would be able to reinvest a whole lot. I thought that it looked very flashy. It looked very easy. If you have six figures, life is going to be real simple. You never have to worry about anything.
Yeah, that's funny because what I hear you saying is like, oh, here's $100,000 and now I'm going to have all my needs met.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I thought it would be super easy to just keep like once you do it, you just keep going and it's just easy. It just automatically happens that it's kind of this built-in, way of life.
100%. I agree. Every one of you that I'm bringing on, that's the main point that I want to get across is there's something in our brain that's like, oh, you get to 100,000 and then you just keep getting more. Like it it doesn't realize that you have to start over every month, that you have to start over every year, right? There's like
Yeah.
missing link in here. So what was that like after you had your first 10, $15,000 month? Like it's the end of the month, you're starting on the following month, you're starting back at zero. What was going through your head? What was your state of being?
I have to do all this again.
Oh,
How do I do this again? That must have just been lucky. It must have just been a lucky month. Like I remember the first time I hit that double digit month and I was like so excited. I shared it. My husband didn't even care. I was like, "Do you know how much money I made?" And he was like, "Can we pay the bills?" Like he wasn't even excited about it. So I couldn't share it with him. I shared it with you guys and I immediately went into what you call a vulnerability hangover. And it was like the hot potato, right? I couldn't, it was scary. It was scary.
people don't understand that
No,
when
no.
you hit a big month or everything is going well, your relationships are going well, your health is good, and you're making money, they do not realize how hard it is to attain that, to hold on to that. Because we think once we get it, everything's going to be great. So let's talk a little bit about that because I really want someone who is in this position who had their $10,000 month, $15,000 month, and is now where you were when that happened. And what were you surprised about?
I was surprised that I didn't know how to keep doing it.
Okay, that makes
I
sense.
like I was shocked. I thought, okay, I figured this out. I got it. I finally hit it big. And then I realized, just like I said, like, was it luck? Was it a fluke? What went wrong? What went right? I couldn't get the actual data. We hadn't started collecting a lot of data at that time, right? It was kind of new. And I didn't know how to do it again. I didn't know how to recreate that month.
Mhm.
And I kept thinking, oh gosh, I got to go meet another 50 people or 100 people to do all this again. And then you kind of showed me a different way of working that I had
Yeah.
never been exposed to.
Yeah. So then you have your first six-figure year,
Mhm.
and then it's the end of the year and you're starting over the next year. How was that?
Yeah. It was like the same thing all over. It was like every month, every year. Wait, I got to do this again. How do I do this again? And not even how do I do it again? Because again is the number that I had, but how do I grow with inflation, with the economy, with the unknown out there, and coming from a poverty background, those fears were very real.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not even how do I do it again? Like for me, it was can I do it again?
Yeah,
I don't know if I can do that again. I don't know if wait, I have to keep doing that? There it's the weirdest thing.
that's right.
I remember whenever you called me and you were sitting on the balcony in the back and you were overlooking the valley and you were like, yeah, there's something wrong. I don't feel like this is mine. Like this is weird. Like I'm not here.
Yeah. I hadn't even accepted that I had hit the numbers, that I had gotten the goals, that I had created the life I wanted, that we had bought the house, that like we were on the property. And you were saying, Monique, you're literally like you already did it. I'm like, I was still thinking I was trying to do it. It was almost one of those out of body experiences where you're looking at something, but you can't really believe that you're there or that you did it. And
Yeah.
it took a while to really regulate that part of myself.
That because the subconscious has a different truth
Yeah.
than reality. And this is why people keep hitting upper limits. And so you've done this for several years now. So it is the norm for you. But do you still hear that and face that every single month?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we started the month over a couple days ago and I was like, dang it, again. But now we normalize it. It's like, yeah, yeah, I wonder what I can do this month. I
Yeah.
wonder how many people I can help. I wonder how big of an impact I can make. It's not from the fear of not knowing how to do it anymore or working hard. It's more like a curiosity, like, I wonder who else wants to do this with me.
Yeah. So you want to talk about like how to actually get to that first $10,000? Because I think a lot of coaches believe that it has to do with like social media and a big following and ads and like just this
Yeah.
thousands of people. But do you serve thousands of people?
No, no.
You
I,
don't even need to, right? That was really hard for me to wrap my brain around is that no, actually, you don't need to serve thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions in order to get an exchange of value.
mm-mm. No, I mean, you have these big influencers out there that we all compare ourselves to. And, I think that really throws us off. But when we looked at, how do I make that first 10,000? Because my first goal was recouping my investment. I needed to make the money back that I gave you for the certification. That was my first goal. And so I remember we were in coach training and you were like, go get clients. You were just go get clients. And so I said, well, how do I do that? And you said, well, just talk to people about what you do. And so I did. I'm in the hair salon and I'm cutting hair and I'm talking to them about their neck pain and their shoulder pain. And then they're kind of intrigued. I talked a little bit about social media. I'm like, oh my gosh, my body's changing. This is so weird. People that knew me years ago that had seen the train wreck that I was at that time saw me and they were like, what are you doing? You're so different. Your demeanor is so different. You look different. And so I just started talking about my journey. I just started communicating with people and building genuine relationships around this is what I'm doing. This is what I've seen. It's blowing my mind. I don't know how it works, but it's working, and I shared very authentic,
Particularly.
authentically. I just shared very authentically from the place that I was and what I was experiencing. And a client that was getting an eyebrow wax became a coach client, and a client that was a massage client became a coach client, and people that I met on the streets, and people started referring their friends and family to me, and people from high school would connect me with their cousins or their aunts or their whoever, and it began to build in a way that I didn't know was possible.
hmm Because as a just a massage therapist or practitioner, time for dollars. Like
Right.
you hit a wall. I mean, there's only we only have so much time on planet Earth that our physical body
Yeah.
can do this. And I remember talking to you guys about like mind body coaching, and it was like, what? How do you do that? Like, and I was already coaching clients on my massage clients online and helping them get relief in their body. And so it was kind of like this secret phenomenon. Like, what is that? That's not like, can you do that? Now it's a big thing. And a lot of massage therapists starting to understand because we can relate when we see clients year after, I mean, month, session after session after session with the same thing in their body. And then there's no physical reason why.
Right.
So you want to talk about that? Like how whenever you first brought mind body coaching to your clients, and did they understand it immediately or they were kind of like sold
No.
by the results?
I remember the first time I had somebody on the massage table and I said, can I try something on you? And it was a client I'd been working with, as a regular massage client for a long time. And she was like, yeah, of course. And so I did this thing and she said, what did you just do? And I said, ooh, like, how do you feel? She's like, I feel really light. My headache stopped. She was suffering with some upper body stuff, neck traps, all that stuff. And it was a moment where I realized it's not just my body that changes, now their body's changing too, right? And so I began to work with her and we moved her from a regular relaxation massage or a therapeutic massage into a signature massage client. That was one of the first things that I did. And then COVID hit, a couple years later, as I'm working with these clients on the table and we're doing these mind body integration massages, which are beautiful. We're coaching and massaging, but then COVID hit, and all of a sudden, I had no income coming in. I had no way to live here, and Colorado is much more expensive than Louisiana was. And I was like, either figure this out or go back home. Like that's it. And I didn't want to go back to Louisiana. And so I started talking to my clients and I said, if I could give you the same results that I give you on the table through the computer, would you want to try it? And they kind of shrugged and made noise. How are you going to do that? And gave me all the fuss. But I continued to say, hey, look, here's the thing. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, don't pay me. I was so confident in the work that you and I had done at that point. I knew that I could help them because I was doing the same thing on the table. I was just physically touching them while I was doing it. And so I thought the energy can be just as good through the computer screen if the intentions are correct.
Mhm.
And my intention was to help them heal. And their intention was to heal. And so it connected. It made sense. It was a match. And the first one ended, and she said, I can't believe what just happened. And I said, do you want to do it again next week? She said, yeah. And that became my first full-time, every week coaching client that moved from the massage table to online coaching.
Hmm. For someone who doesn't understand what signature massage is, what would you
Yeah.
tell them? Like if it's a
Um,
massage therapist is like, hey, I want to do some of that. What is
yeah.
that like?
So my signature massage is a massage that is based off of several modalities that I'm really good at. And I blended it. And I work with nervous system regulation, emotional processing. I pour in some somatics, some craniosacral, and some other modalities that are all done to keep the body safe.
Hmm.
Because I work with so many trauma people and emotionally dysregulated people, and they've had a lot of struggle and they've had a lot of chronic pain. And again, like you said, maybe not necessarily injury or accidents, or maybe injuries 20 years ago that should have been healed by now. But something's wrong with their body and they're not feeling well.
Yeah. What was your experience with that?
Yeah.
Like,
I was actually talking to somebody about that today. I always go back to that moment where um I walked into the classroom and you were there and I was extremely dysregulated. I could barely talk. I was going through a really hard time with my daughter that week, and you put me on the table and you started just moving my body and manipulating and talking to me and bringing me through this exercise. And for the first time, I felt completely different than I had ever felt in my entire life. And I always say that that moment changed me. Like my neurology changed in probably 15 minutes on that table with you.
and that
So,
your clients are getting.
yeah, experiencing that quick of a change when I was so distorted and so dysregulated and in so much pain and trauma, to just go to this calm, soothing place that I don't know that I've ever been before. It was a brand new experience. And so being able to offer that to people it was a no-brainer.
So is that what they say to you whenever you're working with them?
Yeah. I hear that a lot. I feel lighter. I don't know what just happened. I have clients that go through a lot of emotions on the table, and that's perfectly fine. It's a safe space to do that. But when they sit up, they're like they feel like a new person. And each time we go back and we go deeper, a little bit more unravels and a little more of that heaviness and that tension and that weight they've been carrying loosens. And their lives change. They show up different in the world.
So what would you say to a massage therapist who has been practicing 10 years or more and they're just like, man, I'm trying to stay ahead. I've got multiple certifications and CEUs and I'm trying all these things, but I just cannot get even beyond like to get to multiple six figures, or I can't figure out how to keep clientele coming in. What would you say to, because I know you talk to a lot of those people, they always asking you, what are you doing?
I think it's really important to understand that when we're in the service industry, like you said, we're trading dollars for hours. So every hour that I'm touching a body is this much money. And if I only have the physical capacity to touch so many bodies in a week, or I start having physical issues myself, repetitive strain things like that, I'm not going to be able to fill up the schedule. And that conflict, the confusion there, I think is what had me so I couldn't understand it either when I first started. Like, well, how do we do this, right? Because yeah, I can do, 5 massages a day, 5 days a week, but how long can I last doing that? When am I going to burn out? And with all these old injuries and all these old surgeries, I had hand surgeries and mouth surgeries and things like that, my spine. That was always a real fear that my physical body would burn out at some point in time. And what I've learned through mind body coaching and mind body work on the table is that my physical body is not abused at all.
Mhm.
I I I have more energy now than I've ever had in my entire life.
Is there anything that surprised you once you started doing more of this? Like, what is now in your life that you had no idea? You didn't even know what you didn't know. Like you didn't know to even expect it because you had never seen it before. You never experienced it. Is there any surprises?
I think all of it's a surprise. Like the whole thing is a surprise. Being able to charge the value for the certifications and the investments I've made into my schooling and my own journey. You know, I hear people say all the time, oh, you can't charge $100 an hour. You can't charge this. And I'm like, I've charged $300 to $400 an hour for some of my services. And people will write on my reviews, I would have paid her more. So I think to understand that people are paying a lot of money for healing and they're not getting things that they need. And so if we can offer something that actually works, they do want to pay for that. They do want to feel better. I think that's one big thing. Understanding that my body doesn't have to break down and that I can do this for the rest of my life is a huge thing because as a self-employed person, I don't have a 401k or health insurance or any of that stuff. I don't have sick days at work. So being able to regulate my own body to stay in alignment, help other people do it and not get burnout or sick is a brand new concept to me in the last, 8 or 9 years of working with you. That's a huge change. That it's sustainable and predictable. And the way that you teach us how to run the business, I had a business degree before I met you. I didn't learn what I've learned from you in business school. And so teaching us how to work on our own stuff, our own mental, emotional stuff, our own life, and everything can merge together. Like I can go on vacation and work. I can spend time with my family and still have my business. It's not this overdoing hustler mentality that I thought I was going to have to have. I have so much time and I'm working with probably 50 clients a week right now. It's unbelievable.
So would you say you have a super life?
Yeah.
So what is a super life to you?
Yeah. Um, that my marriage is amazing. My kids are good. My business runs. My clients are getting results. I can jump on a plane anytime I want to and go across the world. I don't have any concern or fear. My physical body is on point. I mean, I just turned 45 a few months ago and I feel better than I've ever felt, I think my entire life. I think it's truly being able to access and have it all.
Is your internet or mine?
You keep freezing. I'm not sure.
All right, it's back. So you're saying like that business is great and other parts of your life. You get to keep your health, your relationships, and it's kind of like all tides rise together. How we do anything is how we do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever think that that was possible, or were you always negotiating one for the other?
No, I always negotiated.
So when one thinks you had to sacrifice something for the other thing, would be an example of that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember wanting to build my business before, but the the money I had to spend on the kids or the money I had to spend on something else, I couldn't invest in the business. Or, I didn't want to argue with my husband when I was building a business because, he needed our time. He needed time with me too. I thought that I couldn't cook dinner and have a client late.
Got it.
I thought, it was I always thought there wasn't enough time, money, or energy for everything that I wanted. And that was a mistake. I was totally a mistake. I was completely wrong. I didn't know.
Is that what other people think too?
Oh yeah, yeah.
A
That's the number one thing I hear all the time is, one of those three things.
couple of more questions. I'm at the end of this is one is what do you think prevents people from healing? Because why does it work for some and not others?
I think it's what we know. I think it's what we've been exposed to and what we know. Um, we're told that some things are chronic or that they'll never be healed. I mean, I was told that I would always have knee pain. I don't have knee pain. I was given diagnoses that were not able to heal. They were life sentences. And it became a way of life. It truly became my identity. And I think that all the things that I knew about the sicknesses and the ailments and the diagnoses and health prevented me from seeing what else was available that I didn't even know existed.
Hmm. So what's next for you?
Yeah. Um, Working on a certification, somatic certification, doing some CEUs for massage therapy, hosting lots of events, retreats, both personal and for massage therapy, and have a big women's conference coming up in October that you're going to come be a part of.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Have a book that should be out in a few days. I'll get the proof. And I think at this point, it's just continuing to share the potential of this work. And especially with other practitioners that are looking for something similar, that know there's something else available, but maybe they just haven't found the right person or the right community yet to create their business or up level their business with.
So what would you say to other practitioners, massage therapists, body workers, that um, say, yeah, people in my area don't understand.
Yeah, I get it. Nobody understood here either. I was the first one. I was the only person doing this.
And now you're hosting a conference with other practitioners who are coming.
Right.
So just do it anyway. Like
Yeah.
be the lone wolf, take the lead, even if they don't
There was,
understand.
there was always something that people didn't understand until they did. Someone was always the first one to talk about it. So why not be you? Why not be ahead of the game? I don't ever want to wait and miss out again.
Hmm. What
I
did
don't
that look
ever
like?
want to miss out.
Yeah. You waited,
Yeah. I
waited
have
till you
lost
were
out.
convinced or they were convinced.
I wasn't convinced. I lost out on so many big opportunities that could have really evolved manifestations and dreams that I wanted to be a part of. And I was scared and I didn't take action. I froze and I watched people do things that I wanted to do. And that hurts. Man, that hurts.
So was it just the courage?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, people are going to have opinions. So what? There's also going to be people that will totally relate to what you're talking about. And when you find those people, it's like a little party. Like every time I talk to somebody that's saying the same thing I'm saying, and we connect and we network and we lift up together, it's like, ooh, there's more of us. We're not alone. There are people that want this.
Yeah, I think there's more now than 5 years ago for sure. Whenever we first started this, you remember I was doing it and then I started the coach trade there. I really didn't know anyone. There were people who were talking about holistic healing and wellness and fitness and stuff like that, but not really at the capacity or the understanding that we're talking about, where you actually feel and get the results in that moment. Yeah, that was kind of unheard of. And I still have people who don't understand it. And
Yeah.
I see it everywhere, but that's because we are it.
Yeah. When I think right now, mind body is a big word out in the world. Everybody's starting to use it, but I don't know that everybody understands how to integrate it the way that the integrative mind body connection taught me how to do. And I look back. I mean, I have books that I've had since 2004 that talk about mind body connection, and I never saw it.
Mhm.
I never understood it.
Got it. All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on today. And uh-oh, might be frozen again. Gosh darn it. There you are. Froze again. It's my internet. Um, anyway, I will put links to, below here on what you have going on the conferences and the events. And is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share?
I think that if you are interested in mind body connection, just to get with somebody and talk about it. Get with one of us, get with somebody on your team. Um, this changed my life in so many ways, and I will forever be thankful for making that phone call that I needed help because it evolved me, it evolved my family, and then it evolved my business. And so don't miss out. Don't go into fear and shut down. Just investigate, see if it's a good fit.
And what would you tell someone who wants to get to six figures? Maybe they're close, maybe they're at 70, 75, 80, or maybe they've hit six figures, but they've fallen below. What do you tell yourself month after month and year after year in order to maintain this multiple six-figure status that you have done for so long?
Yeah. Well, I think at this point, I think a lot of it has to do with worthiness, and the ability to receive it. So if it's hard, if you're struggling with it, maybe get some subconscious work done to see what that block is and what's holding you back. Because the things that we found that my brain was protecting me from were so small, so minimal. It wasn't all this big, huge stuff. It were these little moments where something was created in me that said, that's not safe, or it's not okay, or don't do that. And when we worked through that, I was able to really open up and be the person that could lead and receive.
There you go. Nice. All right, my friend. Well, I will see you on the other side.